Hey, what's up, G bro? So I'm in an interesting situation right now. Right now, the picture's pretty clear. We don't have any severe thunderstorm warnings of any kind as of yet, or even a watch. I don't think the cap is broken yet. So I'm thinking that I might start out with a discussion and then go from that point. Hey, amputee. So, kind of an interesting situation here. I see that quite a few of you have already voted in advance here, right before the stream even started. That's a first, by the way. Wow, we're actually up to 9 votes. That's impressive. That's like an all-time high for this early into the stream. So happy with that. Thank you guys. And a lot of you are saying less than 2 inches. Right now, I mean, any of these are pretty valid at this point. While you can look at an environment and see just what the potential for hail could be as we go forward, you could never really truly gauge just what the size of the hail could be based off of weather models. You can get a relative idea, but no guarantees. But I think what we'll do right now is we'll at least get into the enhanced risk for Sunday, slight risk for tomorrow, and we'll kind of go on from that point. That sounds okay, doesn't it? Yeah. I think the cap is struggling to break right now. There was a little bit of inhibition over the region, so I'm not surprised to a point. If anything, I'm kind of bummed because I was hoping to go to the store, but things didn't work out that way. But that's life. Can't wait to get my own vehicle out the shop. That's all I can say about that. I'm tired of sharing a car. Anyway, though, I guess we'll go ahead and get into the slight risk here. Because one way or another, whether it was going to be coverage or not, we're at least going to have a discussion here. So this is the current situation that we have here for tomorrow. This is another slight risk, very similar to the one that we have today. Not as large of an area. We're still seeing some very similar areas, but they're in the marginal risk here, which even stretches all the way out into the mid-Atlantic and even the Northeast here. So eastern Ohio, all the way out to even Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania here is under a risk. Main threat would be wind and hail. Tornado threat's going to be pretty much relegated over towards central Texas, mainly over towards Abilene and areas off to the south and west. Oh, you're on the southern end of Sunday's mess. Lovely. We'll get into that one. It seems like the threat's concentrated a little, the worst of the threat might be concentrated a little further to your north, though. So, you may not get it too bad here. But yeah, tomorrow's threat, hail, and then, of course, this got upgraded to an enhanced risk a little earlier. Enhanced risk is mainly over towards north central and central parts of Missouri here, sneaking into western Illinois here. Main threat, I would say at this point, is somewhat unclear. Tornado threat is somewhat conditional, but I do think that damaging winds will be a primary threat. Hail is gonna be also a pretty big threat here. Yeah, you're barely in the marginal, right? You're gonna be fine. It's just it might be stormy, which will kind of suck, especially considering the fact that it's Easter. But I don't think it's gonna be too bad for you. Yeah, like you're gonna be like in the marginal, maybe if anything. Yeah, the worst weather is definitely gonna be well off to your north. But obviously, with us being in the 72-hour time frame here, we aren't going to get a look at any particular hazards. There is one reassuring factor here, though, and it's the fact that we don't have a hatched risk over here at this time. So there is some good news to be had there at the very least. Let's get into the model data here. We'll go ahead and try to finesse this as best as we can, because once we get towards day 2 and 3, it gets a little bit messy in regards to models here. We ended up being on what I call the model cusp, where we're getting old, where we have the old model data, but new data is coming in. So it's often really tricky once we get within this time frame. Ooh, yes, that is really good if you're just fertilizing the lawn. Honestly, I wish that the lawns that I did today either had some rain or if people would just water them, but we're not going to get into my work day here because I don't want to talk about it. But anyway, all that aside here, let's start out with what we do have available here. Probably going to have to go back to 22Z on this so we can take a look at least tonight. Tomorrow it's going to be a little bit of a stretch to try to get an idea of what's going on there. Might have to shift over to some other model data. Me personally, I've always been an avid watcher of the HRRR here. It's been relatively reliable, but as we know, there are no promises when it comes to weather. So this is what I expected to be our catalyst for tonight. This is kind of taking its sweet time to get going here. I do think that there is a little bit of lagging going on with the trough, but also there's more than likely a temperature diversion here, or a little bit of a cap that's occurred towards this region, which is why we haven't seen much in the way of storms firing. I do anticipate as we get later towards the evening that cap might break. If it breaks too late into the evening, this could null the severe weather threat as a whole. So once we get later into the evening, eventually of course we do get a little bit of action, and then that's pretty much it there. This trough eventually will move off to the east here, and then this will kind of open up the severe weather opportunities for tomorrow. And then of course this will continue to push off to the northeast here, and then this is what will also be our catalyst for our Sunday threat here. So we're going to actually go back to 18Z and see what we can salvage out of that. Obviously, we're not going to be in range to look at Sunday with this. The HRRR is just a little too far behind right now, and it's probably going to be another 2 hours before the OOZ comes in, or the nighttime models come in. So again, here's a look at tonight from the upper levels of the atmosphere. This is what we're looking at tomorrow. You can kind of see a couple areas of interest over here. I really think that a lot of this, the action that's going to be occurring tomorrow, might be more of an earlier in the day type of deal, and mostly in a linear form too. We'll see this probably stretch off to the east here as we get later into the evening, but by the time the sun sets, I expect things to kind of downtrend a little bit. I will still expect some shower storm activity, and there are a couple areas I'm still going to be watching just in case things go overnight, but I do think that parameters aren't going to be set up well enough to where we get anything significant out of that. Then of course, as I mentioned before, here's our trough as we head into Sunday here for Easter, and we'll have to see what happens towards this region here. Really think this is going to be our flashpoint, so to speak. Hi Mia. If we go to the 700, that's fine. Alright, so here is a look at the shortwave for tomorrow. Actually, we'll go ahead and take a look at tonight too, see if we can get any sort of inkling as to when things could pop off. Like I said, the forecast has really been showing it right around this time, so for whatever reason, it looks like we're kind of struggling a little bit. Like I said, I really think capping is the big reason as of right now. So as we get into tomorrow afternoon, here is our shortwave that begins to develops towards the mid-afternoon hours at its peak. Do see a little bit of extra activity as we get late into the evening and overnight hours. Instability is really the big question as we get into the overnight threat. And as we get into Sunday here, you can start to see the first signs of activity beginning to pop up early in the afternoon. So potentially maybe right around noon, 1 o'clock, we could get some initiation. I think peak probably would start to occur sometime after 4 or 5. Low level jet, of course, we always have to look at that as well. And this is where our little sneaky 5% tornado threat comes into play here. If we can get some storms to overcome the cap here, right towards this region, you can see that almost dead set 180-degree wind barb here. If we can get some decent storms to fire here, they can take advantage of this low level jet here. There's a chance or two of maybe a tornado. But with the way things are right now, the storms seem like they're not, don't really seem like they're on the verge of doing anything crazy right now. But of course, we'll have to take a look at the environment further along. This is us getting into Saturday afternoon. Tornado threat's going to be relatively low unless you're over towards maybe south central Oklahoma. This is where our best low-level jet is, our best available low-level jet is. As we get further along into the evening, kind of expands a little bit further off towards the east. But look at how this kind of builds up even better as we head into Sunday here. Like I said, depending on how this sets up, we could have a couple areas of interest. It could even be over towards this region here where we have that heightened tornado threat. Over towards this region, I really think, again, the main threat's going to be damaging winds and hail. And if we get any sort of uptrending as we get later into the afternoon, then we could get an enhanced risk with a hatched risk for tornadoes and hail. Probably, maybe even all hazards at this point, I would go as far as to say. Alright, so moisture's also been a pretty big question. Yesterday, that was actually one of the big unknowns that I had for that setup, but unfortunately I couldn't make it because my washer decided to break down. So I'm somewhat apologetic here, but I'd already been like having to rewear my clothes for work, so yeah, I can't keep doing that, especially with it getting 80 plus degrees out here. So yeah, but anyway, getting into tomorrow here, we have a nice little moist sector over here that pops up. We're into the mid 60s here. And in particular, this area over towards Oklahoma is what interests us the most. If we were to go here, we do get into the mid 60s and the upper 60s before all is said and done. I'm actually curious to see if we can get a good sounding out of that just by looking at that. It looks like no for right now. In fact, let me go back, click on that again. Yeah, capping looks like it could be an issue yet again tomorrow. One thing I've noticed with this storm system, because it's a positively tilted trough, the forcing isn't all that strong. And usually that's the best way to overcome a cap, is strong forcing, and we just don't really seem to have that. In order to understand what that is, we'll go back to that wind map here, looking at the 500 millibar. The tighter that these contours are, then the stronger the forcing is, but we'll have to see what ends up happening there. People are saying watch Oklahoma and them do a nighttime tornado threat. I do think that that could be possible tomorrow. It really depends on instability. Tonight it could be a thing too. It seems like the cap is kind of acting in a way to where it's not going to break till really late. The real question is, are we going to have any leftover instability? The cap can sometimes end up preserving some of that too. So, really interested in seeing how this ends up panning out. This could be a active night, or it could be nothing. It's literally one of those super conditional. No, it's not strange. This is not that uncommon with positively tilted troughs. Like the trough is kind of like pointed this way and then it kind of curves out this way. When you get that, the forcing is weak. If you get a cap to build over this region, it's sometimes really hard to break. It's a conditional threat, though. It goes one way or the other. Either we get a pretty active night or we get nothing. Look at that. See? You have a really nice heliograph right here for tonight. The problem is, towards the upper levels of the atmosphere, look at how this is kind of capped off. And then there's a good surface inhibition here as well. We're at a negative 146. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. The cap hasn't broken yet. So it could go either way. If the cap doesn't break, we get nothing. If the cap does break, watch out. And that's when it gets really hard to forecast, is whenever you start dealing with the capping inversions, inhibition, that kind of stuff. It gets frustrating sometimes. Like, for example, depending on how this would go, I would be going to the store right about now, but I'm trying to make sure that I catch that first storm, because I'm especially irritated that I didn't get to stream yesterday. I didn't get home till almost this time last night, essentially. And the worst part is I still had to hand wash some clothes. But it's okay though. God, I can't wait for the 0ZH triple R to come out, man, because I tell you, no, Texas and Oklahoma's getting it. We're not even in the conversation at all. Not even close. You're gonna be just kind of sitting back from a distance, just getting to watch it all unfold if you'd like. Or you can just chill. Either way, you aren't having to worry about anything. Really, not even Monday. Monday hasn't really stood out to me at all at any point. And if there was going to be any chance, it seems like it would be Monday. And if anything, it still looks like it's going to be north of us. If there's anything that sucks about that for me, it's the fact that if there's anything that happens Monday for me, I would love to see some rain, only because of my job. People need to start watering their lawns. Because if your yard is dry and I put my aerator over it, you're not gonna see what you want. You're just gonna see dust and a very dry soil. But don't ask the guy who's been landscaping for almost like 9 years. Anyway, enough ranting about my job. So this is what I was seeing earlier in regards to today's threat, right around 8 o'clock. No, you're fine. You don't have to stay out of it. If you got questions, feel free to ask. But yeah, you're good. Nothing to worry about. But basically, in this case, the HRRR is showing what could happen if the cap does break over towards this region. We got at least a chance for a couple of stronger storm clusters, maybe some discrete supercells for a brief period. Can't guarantee though that this occurs here, because this is exactly what I'm talking about in regards to inhibition here. The brighter the colors, the stronger the inhibition or stronger the cap is. And notice how this kind of holds throughout the evening here, all the way up until 02Z or 2Z, which is technically it's like 9-10 o'clock Central Time. That's when we would expect storms to fire. There is enough instability here to where it would be able to sustain these storms would be able to sustain themselves. Low level jet does kick in around this time, so like I said, pretty conditional in regards to tonight's threat. In regards to tomorrow, I would expect a pretty similar look for the most part. Looks like inhibition's a little bit less, but that always can uptrend or downtrend within the next 10 to 12 hours, so I have an awful lot of questions. One thing that is for certain here is it doesn't look like inhibition will be a problem for Sunday all that much, at least as of right now. Like I said, when you're looking at the cap, you always have to be watchful, because the day of, you'll see, there's like the day before, you'll see something like this, and then all of a sudden, where did all the red and pink come from? That's often how it will go. Alright, so let's dive a little bit deeper into Sunday here. It's going to be kind of tricky to pull that off, but we're going to make it happen here. So again, we're looking at the dinner time models at this point. So if I were to go ahead and look past 18Z, which was at the max time frame that we had for the HRRR, you can see that the trough is kind of falling apart here. The issue I've had with forecasting is the fact that multiple models have been kind of showing different scenarios. GFS is kind of on the bottom end of the spectrum here. This would definitely lean a little bit more towards a damaging wind event, whereas if I were to pull this up on the Euro per se, I'm actually going to lock this hour right here and make a quick comparison. If I were to, oops, I clicked the wrong thing. Let me go back, do this one here. That's what I need. If I were to compare the Euro, this looks a little bit more textbook like what you would expect from a severe weather outbreak that even includes tornado potential. Notice though that the trough is lagging back a little bit. Notice that there's more progression with this in comparison to this. And this has really been the struggle that I've had with forecasting this. Here's the HRRR kind of leaning into that Euro scenario. Then we have other models leaning towards the GFS scenario. So we're kind of stuck in between the two, so to speak. Another really reliable model that I look at here, the NAM 3 kilometer, pretty much the same thing. It's kind of leaning more towards the GFS. So it's pretty much open season on this forecast here. Either outcome could occur here. This could be a pretty active day, or it could be a little bit quieter. Could be more of a situation where we get damaging winds or tornadoes, or we could get both even. It's kind of a frustrating situation here, so to speak. So again, here's a look at it from a different level of the atmosphere. Pretty much the same old song and dance. Not really much in the way of clarity in regards to what could happen on a Sunday here. And the reason that I'm concerned about this is, you know, it's Easter Sunday. It's also 420. We know people like to get festive. So don't let your guard down with the weather if you're over here towards the Midwest, because things could easily get really messy here really quickly. And the most concerning thing that I've noted here is that low-level jet potential over towards this area. There is a lot of low-level jet, and that's the one thing that's kind of been consistent across the board here. Hey, Justin. Just talking about your area, actually, or your state. What are your thoughts on tomorrow? Or Sunday, I mean. Are you thinking of going for it? Because models have been all over the place. Like, they have been all over the place. And then also, I didn't see your message on Roblox till later. I'm so sorry I missed that. Maybe tomorrow we could play. Oh, you are chasing Easter Sunday? Alright. Well, we'll be here too. We'll be ready for it. We will be live Sunday as well. But yeah, sorry about missing your message on Roblox, man. I was gonna chase. I would have jumped on with you. It's crazy that both Helicity and Twisted have high risk events on them both. It's like I kind of don't know what to do with myself whenever I get on there. I'm like, which one do I want to play? But the other day, though, I had some crazy intercepts. Ah, Tammy has to work till 5. On Sunday? Dang. Talk about relentless. Yeah, I play Helicity and Twisted most of the time. We've uh we've hosted events on Discord multiple times actually. I thought you'd seen it. But yeah, we have like a gaming thread. We have like a whole gaming channel on there. Yeah, I play plenty of video games. Mainly I either play Helicity, I'll play or either Helicity, Twisted, or if I'm playing on my console, I might play Call of Duty or college football. I mean, it's a good time to play. I mean, they're doing high risk events right now, so you're gonna see a lot of action. So definitely would encourage you to play. All right. I guess this is the time, if any, to unwrap the Christmas presents for Sunday here. Madden sucks. Madden stopped being fun like in the mid 2000s. So, yeah, I stopped playing that game. I always have, but me personally, I've always liked NCAA far more. It's just my take. There's a lot in there. Looks like there's a good bit of surface instability available here. Let me see if I can go another frame here. Ample instability. Um, I'm really thinking. I'm really thinking that's going to be right towards your neck of the woods, Justin. Really, it's going to be the timing that's the key for you. It's good hodiographs here, too. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it looks like Sunday could be a busy day. I mean, based off of what I've seen so far here, let me look at inhibition here just to make sure that we crossed our T's and dotted our I's. But it doesn't look like inhibition is going to be much of a factor. Yeah, it's always critical when it comes to this, but if I were to go to preset type, it seems like it's kind of in your favor because I would say that this would be like right around the time that Tammy would be able to get off. And then if we were to go off the Euro scenario too, especially, because the GFS is the one that has it progressing the most, I would say that you guys have a really fair shot. If you get something that forms too far out ahead, though, that might be a different story. It's probably going to be a now. I get the feeling that this is probably going to end up being a nowcast situation. You were thinking 6. I agree. I think somewhere between 5:30, maybe as far as 7. It really depends on which scenario wins out, because it seems like it's a clear spread between GFS and the Euro. GFS with the earlier time, Euro with the later time. I think the tornado threat gets bigger with the later time, though, because that low-level jet's going to start increasing, too. So, pretty interesting situation there. Let me make sure I have and we still haven't got much of anything here in regards to weather-wise right now. Thought I'd check the radar. This looks like a really messy cluster of storms. Yeah. So, interesting situation here. But really, I guess that's it for right now in regards to the discussion. I don't know what exactly we should do now, considering the timing. Considering the timing of the storms that we're expecting this evening. I do want to be live for it, but I also need to go to the store. I don't know if I should take an intermission and come back or what. So I definitely need to go to the store. But let me go ahead and pull this up real quick for you guys. Let you see exactly what I'm looking at right now. Here's a small screen right here. As you can see, there's no severe thunderstorm warnings right now. I know it's really small. Let me try to see if I can expand that a little bit without taking up too much space. But this is pretty much what I'm looking at right now. Right over here is our area of interest in Oklahoma. And what you'll notice, or really like center part of the bottom left corner of the screen, that's Oklahoma right now. No warnings, no watches currently. Haven't seen a meso discussion in a bit. I think they might reissue it a little bit later. We'll have to see what ends up happening with this, but the only action that I've seen so far, it's right over here. So, like I said, it really depends on what you guys want me to do. Yeah, I agree with you on that one there. I think it's going to probably end up going QLCS. I really think that we might get maybe a couple of prefrontals with maybe some embedded cells mixed in. Yeah, the cap kept tonight at bay. But I think that this could turn into an overnight event as a result. Because if you actually like look at the instability for tonight, it goes all the way into the overnight here. Low level jet, of course, as we all know, strengthens. So it's kind of one of those deals where you're like, this is turning into a really ugly nocturnal situation. And we really don't prefer those. Yep. You're a chaser. This is your warm-up and your wake-up call in a sense. Well, 23Z's officially loaded in, finally. I'm really thinking South Oklahoma could be the point of interest if we can get something to fire there. Inhibition still seems like it's a bit of a problem, especially towards the mid-levels. Seems like there's a bit of a slight wedge there, like almost a little bit of dry air trying to sneak in. Especially once we get past that low-level jet range here. If we can overcome that, though, we're in business here. But that is the key question. That is the golden question here. What will happen with this cap? Can we overcome it? Yeah, this looks like it's actually downtrended significantly from the last hour I saw in HRRR. Let me see if I can make a comparison here with the NAM. Wait. NAM isn't going to be updating for at least another couple hours. Oh, I don't know what to do. Dang it. So what do you got? All right, so I guess I'll leave it in you guys' hands. What do y'all think? Do you think that this setup tonight, based off what I'm seeing here, is it gonna hold? Is it gonna hold, or is this already a bust? Is it clipped? Because like I said, the cap really, I think, is what's gonna screw this one. Compare the Euro and the GFS on this one. Ooh, more than luck too, because we have the new. Oh, you're thinking it's a bust. I'm kind of leaning. I'm leaning towards that too. Yeah, I'm kind of leaning towards that too. Well, is what it is there. Yeah, it looks like the. Yeah, it's screwed. Look at how the cap kind of builds itself back in overnight. Surface base cape, okay, CIN. Alright, Justin. Yep. Yeah, this looks. Yeah, this is definitely looking pretty clipped here. I think. I don't really think we got much more that we can really do for tonight. I don't know who's saying that this is going to be an overnight spear threat. I'm actually interested in looking at Twitter right now and seeing who. Because it seems like a lot of models are holding that cap pretty strong at this point. Shoot, I'll even go NAM 12 kilometer just so we can cross our T's and dot our I's here. Of course, the NAM is the most aggressive one. Does have that cap breaking for a brief period. Kinematics are trash though with this. Wow. Weak kinematics. So, geez, this is a tough one. Geez, I hate when I'm in this situation because what often happens, and it never fails. Well, I wouldn't say it never fails, but what more often than not will end up happening is, okay, it's like, oh yeah, I see this as a bust. This cap isn't gonna break. I get offline. I do my normal little thing on Friday where I go to the store and whatnot. Will it affect tomorrow and Sunday? It can, but I never usually go off of whether or not one day's bust will cause a boom for tomorrow or the following day. It's always comes down to like the last minute. It's kind of what I was saying earlier. It's more of a nowcast situation. Because like I said, you can look at this. You can look at the inhibition for tomorrow, for example. Alright, so you see this. It'll be clear, and then last minute you'll see this kind of build in. Like the lunchtime model will show this or that. That's why you often have to keep up with it. That's why National Weather Service is so important, because these guys are looking at it 24/7. These guys are the best of the best, and they stay on it. Because, unfortunately, because I work a regular job, I can't always look. But I really think this is a wide open. This is a wide open forecast still. I think that in particular Sunday still looks like it's going to be the most active day. I've been kind of saying that all week, but I think what I'm making note of the most here is there is really one particular fail parameter that could come into play in regards to the prefrontal cell threat. And that would be if we get too much convection. we have enough dew points. And I'm going to look particularly at the Euro, because the Euro has shown the most aggressive action here from this trough. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take a look at the Euro, make sure you guys can see the dates. So here's Euro going into negative tilt. The forcing, like I said, it isn't that strong. If the forcing was stronger, I think we would have an even messier event than what we do. Than what we're already anticipating, I would say. So let's make a comparison here. Take a look at. Oh, went too far. Actually, I want this one here. I clicked the wrong parameter. Sorry, y'all. Yep. Okay. Okay. So what I'm looking at on here, I'm looking at the dew points as normal, but I'm looking at the barbs. I'm looking at the wind barbs at the surface. So this is about 10 meters above our head. So this is, I would say, almost at low level jet range, maybe just a little bit lower. So I'm looking at our surface winds and looking at our moisture flow from the Gulf. So right here. So right here is where we have our warm sector. Here we have our storms firing towards this region. My main thing is I'm thinking that depending on how much convection we get here could be the limiting factor in regards to supercells. I do think that there's an environment, there's a situation where we have an environment capable of maybe some embedded supercells within the line. But it's a questionable threat at this point here. Another parameter that I'm kind of interested in also is the cloud cover. So basically what we're doing here at this point, we're just trying to make sure that we've looked through all the fail parameters. I mean, since I'm going to be live, I might as well make it worth your time, worth you guys' time. I mean, am I right? Okay, so we get some breaks in the clouds here according to the Euro. And the reason why I say cloud cover can sometimes be an inhibiting factor is if we'll look at the precip map here, more often than not when you have severe weather the day before or the day prior, sometimes you'll end up seeing those storms take up a lot of the energy that's in the atmosphere that will be needed for the following event. Doesn't really seem like that's the case. But whenever that does happen, what you often will have to look for is air mass recovery. So basically, air mass recovery often occurs whenever you get sunlight here, in this case. So let's say you have a lot of CAPE here. Let's say you have about 1,000, 2,000 joules per kilogram of CAPE, right? You get showers and storms to fire over that region overnight. And then you watch storms pass over the area, lose CAPE for a little bit. If it stays cloudy, sometimes we won't be able to get the air mass to recover, and as a result, storms end up staying weak. It's almost basically, in a way, the same thing as like a small cap. Rain cooled air kind of keeps the air stable, whereas if you get a little bit of sunlight, you get breaks in the clouds, you get maybe an hour or two of sunlight, you can get rapid or explosive thunderstorm development, and you can get big time cells. I mean, it's each time that occurs, though, it's contingent upon the overall setup itself. Troughing, everything else has to be in play in order for that to really matter. It's not okay. It's not one of those situations where it's like one size fits all, so to speak. So if you start to, so if you're in a severe weather area, you have storms come through overnight, and you see the sun, pay attention. Don't panic, but definitely pay attention to what the forecast is saying at that point, because it doesn't necessarily mean that you're out of the woods, but it's definitely not a guarantee that you aren't out of the woods. Yes. Yeah, clouds essentially can be almost like a heat dome. And that's also, and here's a little fun fact for some of you that didn't know about this. Whenever you have a cold morning or cold night, notice that often happens when you don't have clouds. These clouds act like a heat dome. They're like a thermal. So it keeps hot, or it keeps warm air in and also keeps warm air out. So whenever it's cloudy, more often than not, whenever a warm front's coming in, it usually stays warm, especially as you get into the evening, overnight hours. But whenever the skies are clear, excuse me, whenever the skies are clear, that's when you have those really frigid mornings. And then you have, of course, the hot, the hot middle of the day, daytime heating type of deal. Yeah, that's why. Yep, blanket, thermal, pretty much the same thing. But yeah, the cloud cover can make or break your day. But yeah, like for example, Renita, like I don't know if you remember Wednesday night or Wednesday morning. I don't know how chilly that was for you, but it was for me. Like I actually had to put on my thick jacket or my hoodie. Yep, that's pretty much why. The clouds are a blanket, they're thermal, whatever you want to call them. If you end up, oh, you had 40s? So did I. That was why, though. If you looked up in the sky, I could bet you that it was clear. I remember it being clear, and it was really cold. And I remember trying to work the machines for the first couple of hours was rough. Because those machines are made out of metal. And, yeah, being outside, especially having those vehicles out in the open as we're driving, pretty cold, not gonna lie. Then also trying to get them to start up when it's cold, not fun. Yeah, so expect a warm evening tonight, Tim. It's gonna be pretty warm for you. Meanwhile, for me, I think we're probably still expecting a low in the mid 50s. In all fairness, we had a high today, I think, of 86. I think we even broke a record. But because the sky's clear, we're going to probably drop like a good 20 or 30 degrees. And then we'll be right back up to record highs. It's going to be record highs maybe all throughout the weekend for pretty much the entire state. So, like I said, you're good, Renita. The weather's going to be nice. Maybe a little hot. Oh, and by the way, here's Monday. Looking pretty benign for us, just to kind of let you know, just to reinforce it. Yeah, not really a whole lot in the way of rain. You're making an awful lot of bold claims saying that you're my favorite. I don't have favorites. I don't have favorites at all. But yeah, And a break you shall get. I need some rain though, because whenever the yards are dry, my job sucks. Because that's when everyone wants to complain. Uh-oh. Please tell me that you got a video of that and you like did that for members or something and you like put it up for members. It's a possum. Possum. It's a possum. Poor thing. Garage can. They can, yes. I'm pretty sure Justin knows what he's doing. Aww. I'm pretty sure your members would have liked it. I'm pretty sure your members would have liked that one. Speaking of which, I'm trying to figure things out for my own members' content. I'm trying to show mine, just what life is like at my job. But yeah, it's kind of awkward considering the fact that I'm working on other people's houses, and yeah, I don't feel like getting shot at because I decided to film. Just saying. Like, what are you doing with this camera on my yard? Pop, pop. No thanks. No thanks. As long as they are scared. I think they are. I don't entirely know, Tim. It's been a little while since I've actually encountered a possum. It's crazy to think about that because I used to see them all the time. Well, there are a few plans that I can I think the next chance of rain for your area might be Tuesday, Renita. And even then it looks like it could be hit or miss. Well, yeah, it looks honestly like it could be hit or miss. Aw, she had babies, huh? Yeah, in fact, I think you're good on Tuesday, probably good on Wednesday. No, Mia, her tree already fell. They're trying to get it off of her house. But they need it to be nice outside so that way they can do the work. Yeah, it looks like you're good to go for most of the week. Like I said, it might be like a stray shower or storm, but yeah, it doesn't look like we're getting a whole lot. In fact, if anything, this kind of reminds me of a summertime setup. Get those little popcorn showers and thunderstorms. Dang it, this means I might miss storm chasing season because I don't have my vehicle up and running. Dang it. Get my Skywarn license, I can't even freaking do anything. Not a problem, not a problem. I wish I could see a picture of it, because I am kind of curious as to how big that tree might be. Because this was before I did my YouTube channel. We went through Hurricane Zeta over here in Atlanta. And I remember the day after my job, we were actually ended up helping out with the cleanup. We were actually helping to remove trees. We even saw some damage where like fences were taken out. I mean, I don't really care if it storms or not. I just want my job to be easier, that's all. You try doing aeration on a dry, compact yard with the red clay that we have here. I promise you, you will not enjoy yourself. makes your job it makes the job much harder. That I guarantee you. Well, alright, guys. I guess since doesn't look like we're getting much in the way of action over here towards Oklahoma, I might call it and then head to the store. I I mean, I don't really know what else I can do here. Oh, the tree is dead. Oh yeah, you did say that. I remember now. Well, hopefully hopefully the damage was minimal. But yeah, it doesn't look like you're going to get a whole lot. Like I said, I think you might get a stray storm. Honestly, at this point, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. I'm truthfully used to it now. It'll probably happen right when I'm heading into the store with my grocery list, be halfway done. I'll just randomly look at my phone. It's like, hey, it's a PDS tornado warning. That's kind of what happened yesterday. And I was actually pretty mad. All you did growing up was cutting and splitting wood. Unfortunately, I didn't get to experience that because, well, yeah, Georgia. But also, I live in a pretty urban area, so unfortunately can't do that. Hey, what's up, boys? Not much, man. Just pretty much having a discussion here, and then also it looks like tonight's a bust. Yeah, I'll probably. Yeah, I might be live tomorrow. I think I'm gonna be on standby, really. I'll probably just focus on doing more spring cleaning in my room. But yeah. As far as tonight's concerned, yeah, I think it. Well, I feel relatively confident that it's clipped, but you never know. Also, I will have a video up tomorrow morning. It will be for the May Outlook, and we'll might have a little something extra for members as well. So, yeah, definitely. Yeah, they have, but um, I mean, they're not obligated to be here either, so it is what it is. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Justin. I'm on standby for it. It could be a lot like today. It looks like there's a little bit less inhibition, but it also kind of looks like a carbon copy of today. So, it's just really going to be one of those last minute decisions whether or not I end up going live. If tomorrow gets upgraded to moderate risk, I'll go live and kind of do an update discussion on that. But outside of that, I'll probably just do a regular video and maybe call it a day. At least I'm free to do that on Saturdays. During the work week, it's a little bit more challenging. Especially 8 hours in the heat doesn't do you a whole lot of good. 6 to 8 hours a day. But anyway, guys. Well, nah, I'm not warmed up and my wrist is messed up today. Sorry. I would play guitar for y'all, but I'm kind of banged up. I hurt my wrist the other day working. Yeah, no one wants another Easter Sunday. We definitely don't want another so-so, that's for sure. But, well, we have to see what it looks like, because, I mean, it's possible. I won't say that it isn't, but, you know. Sunday better not. Yeah, I don't see it either, but, yeah. Then again, we didn't. What was it, April 2nd? We didn't expect to see high risk, but it did, and boy did it end up verifying. So I mean, just goes to show you never know. Dang it. But yeah, I don't really have it in me to play guitar. My wrist is kind of banged up. Like trying to close my hand up hurts right now. So definitely gonna try to heal up. I have no what hold up. What is this? Uh-oh. Let's switch this over. Because they just issued a... literally just decided to issue a mezzo scale. That's funny. I was literally about to click out of this. 1 second, guys. There we go. Oops. And I just clicked out of it anyway. Alright. So watch as possible. It's at 60%. I think I'm going to try to run to the store. And then, if needed be, I'll jump back on. No, it's not me getting old. Actually, sprained my wrist because of work. The thing with those aerators is I'm holding them like... Oops, sorry for bumping the mic. But the thing with those aerators, I'm holding them like this. So whenever I'm going over bumps, my wrist is getting... Like, my wrists are catching a beating. And if I end up running over a tree root or something, and I just bumped my chair. But yeah, if I end up bumping a tree root or something, and it shoots up like that, throws my wrist like that, it really... Ooh, that hurts right now, just even doing that. But yeah, the job's pretty rough sometimes. Or if the yard's really dry, if I run over a rock. Yeah, it'll do a number on your wrist. Heck, if the hole's bad enough, it can even hurt your shoulder. It did that to me on Monday, so yeah, I've been getting my butt kicked this last week. It's been rough. But yeah, I'm gonna head to the store. We'll see what happens. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. Oh, trust me. I already know that it takes a little bit longer, but it'll be okay. But that being said, guys, I'm gonna go ahead, run to the store, and I'm going to be on standby the rest of the night. At least up until midnight. If something forms after midnight, then screw my life, honestly, at that point. But everybody take care. Have a wonderful rest of your night. And I will see you either tonight or tomorrow. No need to apologize, voice. You're good. Have a good night, unless I get back on, which I don't necessarily anticipate, but not everybody, I guess. I don't know. I hate being